All right, guys, we're going to continue the model series, and we're now up to our line, the action line. We're up to the line. What action do we take because of the feeling that we are having? So we're talking actions you take, episode 120 of the Relaxed Male. Hello and welcome to Relaxed Male, podcast that helps men change their relationship with themselves. I am your host, Brian, and I am a men's life and mindset coach who is here to help you understand that you don't have to suffer at your own expense. You can live your dream, and I encourage you to set, then pursue your goals. So join me as I change the mindset and attitudes of men so that they can be the leaders of their families and their destinies. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. All right, so we're talking action, taking actions. This is the fourth line of our model. This is a pivotal point. Now, when we're talking about the model, of course, we've got the whole model itself, and I've got a episode available for it. But the model is basically 5 lines that lay out what your thoughts, how you're thinking, and why your thinking is influencing your outcome. And the model lays out with our circumstance. Our circumstance is a completely neutral event in our life. It is just that, is a neutral thing. Base facts. All that is just the facts, ma'am. And what we think of that circumstance creates our thoughts. Our thoughts generate our feelings. And we talked about the feelings last week, which was, like I said, about an hour long. And now when we're feeling that feeling, what are we doing? Are we taking an action based on that feeling? And we do. To not bury the lead, depending on what we're feeling, we will take a certain action. And so we want to break that down, look at it a bit, and see how we can change our actions. We can look at our actions, see if that action is serving us. And if it's not, then what we need to do to actually start changing. And this is where we really start getting into an intentional model, and I'll get into later on what intentional models and unintentional models and all that stuff is about. But right now, just kind of talking about the actions that we take. Why do we do what we do that is not providing us any good in our lives? Why is it that we want to sit on the couch? Well, we talked about that back in the feelings line also, because to do something, to go against our emotional way we feel emotionally can be really distressing, can be really uncomfortable. And so to take an emotion, take something that is like apprehension or fear, and to go, all right, well, I'm feeling fear. This is the direction I need to go. Okay. That's where we start to run into a problem. Because if we start feeling fear and we don't don't lean into the fear, we don't pierce that veil of fear, then we sit back on the couch. We stay comfortable. We stay playing small instead of getting out there and making something big happen. So we're going to talk about the actions. Now, for the new folks here, I want to say thank you. I don't think I did a proper intro last week, but that's okay. This is the Relaxed Male. I am Brian. I'm a men's life coach, and I help men get the nice guy that's inside of them. I help them kick their nice guy to the curb and start actually living the life on their terms. This allows them to become a better man, become a stronger man, become a more well-rounded man when they start living life on their terms. And we also use a set of pillars to make sure that we keeping our lives in a balance so that we can be the man that our society actually needs. And going through right now what's called the model. Now, the model is not anything new. It's even my mentor, Brooke Castillo, has said she didn't create the model. Model has been talked about from years and years and years and years and years and years. But she kind of laid it out and started realizing that the model can be a tool to help us understand our thoughts and to see how our thoughts are creating our results. And our models are our circumstance. Our circumstance creates a thought creates a feeling. We have our circumstance, we have a thought about that circumstance. The thought creates a feeling. The feeling motivates an action, and from that action, we get our results. Oftentimes, our results are not what we really want. They are actually echoing back to our thought. And if we think we're fat, well, our results are going to be, hey, we're still fat. And last week I kind of talked about it. If you're 50 pounds overweight, you're going to have a thought, I can't stand looking at myself in the mirror. And with that, you're going to probably have a feeling of disgust, maybe revulsion or something along those lines. That unpleasant feeling is going to cause you to want to eat. A lot of us will turn to eat food because food generates a lot of dopamine. The dopamine creates a feeling of pleasure and of joy. And so we don't allow ourselves the discomfort of not eating, of getting out, doing the hard work of exercise. And since we are not doing those things, our action is actually eating. We're reinforcing the thought that, hey, you're disgusting in the mirror. You're a fat slob. While in all reality, you could actually be a lot more intentional, start living life on your terms. And if you look in the mirror and see that you see all 50 pounds of that extra weight on you, you might actually think, instead of thinking, I'm a fat, disgusting, horrible slob, I can't stand to look at myself in the mirror, you might go, ooh, get a little pudgy there, bud. You might do something. You might, let's go ahead and let's make some changes to our diet. Let's get ourselves feeling a lot more healthier. And so what we'll actually do is we'll start feeling, instead of that, we make a plan to lose the weight. We have the thought of, I'm going to have this plan to lose the weight. And so we start to feel more determined. Determined allows us to actually start following a diet and get on an exercise schedule and start doing those things, which results in us losing weight because we have a thought that we plan on how to lose that weight. So the actions are a means to show us this is what we're doing. So that action line just shows us this is what's coming from our thought. So our thought is, I'm going to lose all my money. So you, trying to start a business, you're trying to start a business. You're like, oh, well, this is, really risky. Or the one a lot of people actually have is, there's so many other people doing this. I mean, I look at coaching and that's a thought that I have. I see all these people who are coming out and it looks like because I'm in the coaching industry, I see new and more new people coming out going, I'm a coach. And I'm going, dude, hold up. There's not enough room. This is getting saturated. Well, no, it's not getting saturated, man. Cause there's a lot of people who are going to be coaches. They want to learn to coach just so that they can coach themselves or be able to coach their friends and family. Others are coaching so that they can get into corporate coaching and they can go into businesses and coach from inside the business to have an actual position inside of IBM, inside of Coca-Cola, inside of, Wells Fargo, whatever place you want to, whatever big companies out there, inside of Disney, things like that. And they want to be able to coach the executive class, the C-level class of C-level executives, help them to become better leaders for the company. So, and then you've got, everybody wants to come out and they're all talking about being life coaches. Well, a lot of people, believe it or not, they're not going to make it as coaches. Some people jump in there thinking, oh, this is easy. I just sit around, I talk to people and yada, yada, yada. That's honestly what I thought at first too. It's not that easy. There is so much thought work you have to do on yourself just to get yourself out there in front of people to be able to talk to them and to find clients. And that's a lot of freaking work, man. You have to do a lot of work to just get yourself out there enough to where people start noticing you. And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't have the means or the want to get uncomfortable, even though they may have gone off and spent $15,000 on a coaching class, coaching school. They get out there and they're like, yeah, well, okay. There's too, and they'll come up with their own excuses. Oh, there's too many people in coaching. Well, no, even if there's a million coaches, there's 7 billion people in the world. And I still come across people who are going, yeah, I've never heard of coaching before. So who do you coach? What do you coach? What sports do you coach? It's like, it's not that kind of coaching, man. Another way people used to, coaching is just interesting because I have the thoughts of there's too many people. Yet I know when I sit and I engage my prefrontal cortex, that, those thoughts that I'm having, that there is just not enough, there's not enough customers to go around for me to be as successful as I want is flat out a lie. It's a line I'm telling myself. It's a thought that generates the emotion of apprehension, which makes me want to go, oh, well, it's not really worth it to go any further. Well, no, I've had to change that thought many, many times. I catch myself thinking that, and it's like, no, there's plenty of spaces, plenty of time. I put too much effort, too much of myself into the past 3.5 years now that I'm not just going to go, all right, well, it was a try. I had a good run. No. We ain't doing it. Had a good run. We're doing this. We're going to start making money off of this company. This is going to be a highly successful coaching business. This is going to be a men's group. This is going to be a men's movement. I've got these ideas. I've got these thoughts, and I hold on to these. And because I have these ideas, I am taking actions to get results. And I'm wanting to get certain desired results. But to get those results, you have to pay attention to what the action is. So is the action serving you? When you look at your model and you see what that action is, what action you're taking, and being honest about what that action is, you can look at it and go, well, is that action really serving me? Is that action what I want in my life? And you can decide, yeah, it is. Or no. Or you might go, yeah, well, not really, but I just really don't care to put in that much work because that looks like a lot of freaking work I'm going to have to do. And I don't care to do that much work. Okay. Then you don't have to worry about, why you're not making $100 million a year. Why? Because you didn't want to put in that type of work. And that's fine. You don't have to. No one's demanding that you go out and become a multimillionaire. You can make $500,000 a year or $50,000, $500,000. You can make $50,000 a year if that's what you want. And there's a lot of people who do, and they are very happy. There are people who make less than that. You look at people and go into the poor areas of the world, and you see people who look like they're living in squalor and they've got these little huts and shanty towns built up, and they're smiling. They're having a good time. They're living life. They're not putting, excess worry upon them. If you don't want to put excess worry on yourself, that's good. That's fine. At least you now know this, a model can actually show you, hey, this is what I really want. This is not what I really want. So when you're looking at your model and you're laying your model out, you're doing your circumstance, and that circumstance is nothing but a straight fact. And you put out what your thought is about that circumstance, and you write down the emotion that you have when you think that particular thought. You have that action, and you can see that action being whatever it is. And if you decide, you know what, that's not serving me, then we can actually go from doing what's called an unintentional model. That is a model that's created on autopilot. All right. We don't put a whole lot of thought into our thought about what we're having about the circumstance. Yet, if you change and you can bridge your models so you can see that, all right, you're catching yourself looking at yourself with disgust. So you bridge over to the new model that you want to have, that intentional model. When you feel disgust, you actually may be that you have an action of telling yourself 3 things that you're grateful about yourself. I am grateful I can stand up on 2 legs. I am grateful I have a strong back. I am grateful that I have good vision. Whatever it is, you come up with some type of, maybe do a gratitude bridge over to a new thought. So what is that new thought? And all right, well, instead of looking at yourself in disgust, I actually love how I look. And because I love how I look, I am going to actually honor my body by taking care of it. I'm going to honor my body by eating right. I'm not going to stuff a whole bunch of carbohydrates in me, because a little bit of carbohydrates is good, but 5 servings of carbohydrates, probably not so good. And you can actually make the needed changes because you want to love your body. You love who you are. You can lose the weight. If you want to do a business, well, if you have the good reason and you know what your why is, that can actually help you change your thought as to why you're getting into business. If it's just, that sounds like something fun. I'd like to make a good chunk of change while I'm doing it. I think I'll be going ahead and go into this particular business. Well, you're not going to do very well because your why doesn't match the level of what you're wanting to accomplish. So if you have your why, which is a thought, you can actually plug that why into the thought line and see what the emotion is for for that thought and what that action will be. And then as you execute that model, you'll see how the action line didn't quite match up. And that's probably because I noticed my thought. I'm not fully believing what that thought is. I'm still believing that, I'm not worthy of making that type of money. I am not worthy of people's attention. So you really have to start getting in there and start needling around. And the action line signifies that you're going wrong someplace, because the action line doesn't match the thought line. You're on a different model, or your action line, your result line doesn't match your thought line. Then you don't have the right type. You've got what's called a mixed model. You think you're doing this. The thought is this. You think your emotion is going to be this, but it ends up not being that. Your action, you believe, was going to be this, but it's not that, because your thought wasn't properly aligned. If you don't believe you're worthy of making $100 million a year, you're not going to make $100,000 a year. You're going to find every reason to not make $100,000 a year. But once you start believing that, you can actually start making the progress, making the steps to actually do that. If you want to become successful in say radio, or you want to become successful, being a YouTuber, dude, you can do that. If you want to be able to have a loving family, say you're fixing to marry a woman who's got 3 kids, and they're not the same type of kids that you want to be, or that you think they should be. Well, you're going to walk in there and you're going to sabotage everything about that relationship, because you think the kids should be one way and you're not accepting the kids as the kids should be. So you're going to blow everything up because your models don't actually match up. But if you do have a model that works, where you're stepping into the stepdad role as the mentor, instead of trying to go in there and be a parent, because you can't be a parent if you're stepdad. You may earn the right to be called dad, but you have to earn that. And that's a lot of work, and that's a lot of time. That's a lot of mentoring that you have to do for those kids, for you to have enough trust to be seen as somebody more than just the guy sleeping with their mom. Because right now, if you're trying to worm your way into a relationship with the kid's mom, you've got to get past the kids. And the kids are, being as pure as they are, see what you're doing. They may not be able to state it, but they know when you're trying to be slimy, and they will not stand for it. Kids will call you out in no time. There are only two really honest people. There are kids and drunk people. Those are the true, most honest people out there. So if you're running into problems with your action line, you need to start re-examine the premise. Re-examine what your thoughts are. Re-examine what that emotion is, and find out and dig down and do the thought work as to really, why are you not able to get X done? Why is B not falling into place? Why is Why are you not losing the weight? And we're going to go into down the road. We'll be looking into we're going to be actually looking into why our thoughts aren't working out the way we think they actually should, because a lot of times we have a thought, we have our unintentional model, we have our intentional model, but there's a item between there, and that bridge across between the two models, that bridge that you're actually crossing is going over what's called the river of misery. And that is where so many times we try to cross something and we just don't fully believe we have the ability to. It's like that bridge in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where he had to take the leap of faith and step off the ledge, and come to find out he steps onto a hidden land bridge that goes across the way. And the only way he could tell was to take a little bit of sand and throw off, but to be able to find it, he had to take he had to take a leap of faith. He had to step off the ledge and believe that he was going to be okay. So this one here, definitely a lot shorter than last week. But anyhow, that is the epitome of your action line. Is just, it shows you that something's off. When you look at that action line, you're going to see something's not linking up with how you thought it was supposed to be. It gives you an idea of, hey, my thoughts are not where they need to go. I need to start trying to change. And you may have, and because our hippocampus, like I said last week, we have this habit center of our brain called the hippocampus, and it wants to make things easy. Our brain wants us to survive. So it's going to run on as low energy as it possibly can. And to do so, it has to throw everything into the hippocampus that it could possibly throw into. So to be able to do that, what's going to happen is a lot of times may even start off doing, all right, yeah, we got this. I've got my intentional thought. I'm thinking I'm going to do this intentionally. I'm doing this intentionally. The next day I'm doing this intentionally. The next day I'm doing this intentionally. The next day, oh no, I fell back onto old habits. So what do? Well, you don't cuss yourself off and say, never mind, this isn't going to work. I can't do this, and give up. No, you get back up. You start again. You do start again that very moment, right after. If you're trying to quit smoking, a lot of times what'll happen is, oh, hell, I screwed up. All right, well, I'll try again next week. And you go back to smoking. And then the next week rolls in. All right, we're doing this. You make it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Oh, I just figured, well, let's start again next week. No. Say you screw up, you have a cigarette, you succumb to an urge and you have a cigarette. All right. From then on, you aren't having any more cigarettes. You succumb to an urge. An urge is, we're going to talk urges and stuff also later on, but you have urges. We also have problems with buffering and avoiding our emotions. And when we're in the habit of doing that, that's where we really have a lot of times we like to struggle. So we'll be talking about that a lot more. We're going to really start wrapping in how the emotions and actions. And next week, we're going to be talking about your results and why your results are not coming out the way you want. Well, it's because, again, everything leads back to your thoughts. Everything is about your thought. It has nothing to do with the circumstances. It has everything to do with your thoughts. And we're going to be doing that again. So anyhow, guys, so with this, I want to say thank you again for listening. If you found anything in this episode useful, you found it caused you to think of somebody who could utilize this information and utilize it well, or even would learn from this, then please take this episode and share it. Share it on your Facebook, Instagram. Just take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram, share it on Twitter. If you finally were able to get through onto truth.social, share it on there. I'm going to be on truth.social also. I can't wait to try that out. There are so many different sites out there that you can share this with. So if you would share it with those around you, share it with your followers, your family and friends. If I can talk, that would be amazing. I want to try to get as many men together so we can actually get this movement really rolling, start changing the lives of men, changing how they think so that they start living life intentionally. Get rid of that nice guy because he's not serving you. He's not helping you. He's causing you more pain, causing you the reason. He is the very reason why you're not getting laid as much as you want to get laid. Believe it or not, women do not like the nice guy because the nice guy is just a manipulating little slimy bastard. And we don't want him around. The women want men, real men, strong men, noble men in their life. And to be able to do that, you've got to be surrounded by strong, noble, gallant men. I don't know why gallant keeps sticking to my head, but it does. So anyhow, we want strong, noble men in our lives. And to be able to do that, we have to start living intentionally. We have to start living on our terms and start living life intentionally. And so I'm stuck on intentional. I'm going around in circles, which means I am out of things to say. So guys, with that, thank y'all. If you could share this out with everybody, amazing. If you are wanting to, leave a comment, you can go to relaxmail.com/Apple to leave a comment on there, on the Apple podcast app, or you can actually also go to relaxmail.com/Podchaser, and that will take you over to the Podchaser page and leave a rating and review there. That will just help me out, put some gas in my tank. And if you leave a rating review, I will read out that rating review on the show. So guys, with that, I'm going to let you go. Thank y'all again for listening, and I'm glad I was able to talk. And I'm going to go for now. Guys, thanks a lot. Talk to y'all later. Bye.